My name is Dr. Yvonne Brew. I'm a pediatrician at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. I look after children with developmental delays and children with chronic diseases.
So Dr. Brew, can you tell us about the typical milestones in neurodevelopmental stages for children?
Okay, so when a child is born, there are certain things that we expect children to do at every age, and that's what we call the developmental milestones. And it's important that parents and caregivers are aware of the milestones. And the same way we look at the weight of a child when the child goes for weighing, it's important to know what your child should be doing at every stage of their lives. And so we want to look at some of the common milestones that children should have as they are growing. The first is that at birth, if your child is term meaning your child was born after 37 weeks of pregnancy at normal term, we expect that your baby should be able to cry very loudly. Your baby should be able to suck at the breast. And we expect that your baby should be throwing their arms and legs all over the place, and should be, when the child is relaxed, the arms and legs should be flexed, meaning should be towards the body. Then that is a healthy baby. We expect that by the time that baby gets to 6 weeks of age, the baby can look at you and smile and can hold the head up. And when you do the baby will turn and look at you. We expect the baby to be able to look at you and smile back when you smile. The most important thing is that the baby should be able to hold their neck up. For some babies, that may go up to 2 to 3 months. But by 3 months, we expect every child to have the neck up. So if at 6 weeks, your child is not able to hold the neck up and the baby was born at 10, it's important for you to talk to your healthcare giver at the visit when you go for a 6-week weaning. And then we have by 3 months, we expect that the child should be more firm on holding the head up and should be able to move the head from side to side. Should be able to smile and turn when somebody calls his or her name, and we expect the baby to be more engaging. By 6 months, your baby should start to try to sit on their own with support or even without support. We expect that when you reach out to give the baby a toy, the baby should look at you and try to receive the toy from your hand. By 1 year, your child should be crawling and trying to hold items to stand. Your child should be doing more of the da, hold things and crawl around, or maybe even start to walk. We expect that the child should know who mommy is and decide whether if a stranger, a different person wants to take him, can decide to hide behind mommy and not want to go to other people. Your child should be able to play with toys on their own and play with other children their age and run around. We expect that your child will pick toys and throw them all over the house. So by 1 year, your child should be making your house very dirty, throwing the toys all over the place. By 1.5 years, child should definitely be saying mama, dada, and be looking, be able to go to mommy when needed, be able to, when they want something, to be able to go for it or cry and pick it up. We expect that when you call the child should look at you and respond to you. How are you? The child should at least acknowledge that they understand what you mean when you say, go and bring the pampers, go and bring the cap. The child should go and bring the cap. And that's very important because at 1.5 years, children should have developed a good communication skills so that they can interact with their family members and others. So by 2 years, the child should be talking 2-3 word sentences. Give it to me, table, chair, sit, mama, look, and point at the yogurt man for you to buy him yogurt. We expect that the child should be able to run around and do peekaboo and do hide and seek. And the child should be able to report who took if you are looking for something, should be able to tell you who took it. And that's very important, that by 2 years, the child should be an integral member of the family, running around and interacting well with other members of the family. And of course, by the time the child is 3 years and is attending play school, the child should be able to express himself very well and say, if you ask, why did mommy beat you? You should be able to respond, I was naughty. Why did daddy take the spoon? Daddy is going to eat. Who took this? Who did that? So the child should be able to start answering the why, what, and be asking questions. Daddy, look. Mommy, look. What is that? What is this? By 3 years, they start asking questions and they start choosing friends. Who is so and so is my friend. This is my friend. You should be able to pick their friends. By 5 years, you expect that your child should be involved in complex communication and telling you stories, the never-ending stories. They'll tell you a movie and the story just goes on and on and on and on. You're working with a child and they are just talking and talking and talking and talking, expressing themselves, deciding what they like and what they don't like, what makes them happy and what they are not happy about. So it's important that parents know that there are milestones for children and there are specific ones for every little age. So when you take your child to the weighing center, it's important to request for a developmental assessment.
Wow, that's very in-depth, and I've learned a few things, especially the child being able to crawl at 1 year. So for an instance where the child is not able to crawl at, let's say, a year, what are the common signs and symptoms that may indicate a neurodevelopmental delay in children?
So when we talk about developmental delays, it's important to know that we group them into various areas. The gross motor is when the child is walking and running around. So if at any age, and this is why it's important for you to know about your weighing card. If you go for your weighing card and you open to page 58 and 59, it clearly tells you what milestones your child is supposed to have at any age. And so, for instance, if your child is at 6 weeks and your child is not able to hold their neck up, please report to the hospital. Your child will be examined properly. If at 6 months your child is not able to sit with support and still lying down like a baby, can't hold the head up, report to the hospital. If at 6 months your child is not doing a ba 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 ba, you should report. At 1 year, your child is not saying dada, you want to report, or your child is not attempting to hold things to walk, you want to report. It's important that we don't even wait for the children to show delays before we report. It's important that anytime you take your child for weighing, for immunization, you open your page 58 and let your health care worker assess your child and determine if your child is meeting the milestones. This is very, very important. If your child is not meeting the milestones, please ask to see a developmental nurse or doctor. There are quite a few in a lot of the major hospitals, and they'll be ready to assess your child and show you what the next way forward is.
So let's say a parent is able to delay, to determine a delay. Does it mean that it's temporary or it's permanent?
The beauty about children is that you can't predict how it turns out. For many delays, if you are able to pick them up early, you could actually start some interventional therapies and the child can recover from the delays. And for the delays that the child may not recover, we are able to modify and improve it such that the child can live a life as much as possible. So the most important thing is picking up the delay either before it starts or as soon as it starts, so that you can make modifications for the child.
So what would be your take on an early exposure to children's screens? For example, giving the kids the iPads, the mobile phones. What's your take on it for, as young as they are?
The World Health Organization, WHO, says that children below 2 years should not be exposed to screen of any sort, whether television, phones, or tablets. And it's for good reason. That's below the age of 2 is when the child recognizes what we call the carer, the primary carer. That's when the child recognizes human beings as, this is my mother, this is my father. If you expose a child to too much screen before the age of 2, the child loses the ability to recognize human beings as important. So the child sees the screen as the primary carer. And so then the child begins to behave like a robot. And that's a challenge we are having. If you look at the COVID era, when parents were home with their children and in trying to keep their children engaged, they exposed their children to the screen. We have a lot of children now coming to hospital who are severely disabled because they've lost the ability to communicate with other people. And that is very sad. So it's important for us to know that there are activities you can participate with your children rather than using the screen. For instance, fathers playing football with their children, playing hide and seek, mothers jumping up and down with their children and playing outdoors, taking the children to the market, to the playground. These are all activities you can participate in, which will not cost much. Speaking with the child directly, looking into the child's face and chatting with the child. These are activities that would help a child develop normal developmental milestones.
Wow, that's great. You made mention briefly about some challenges, but I'd like to know more, like what are some of the challenges you face managing neurodevelopmental delays in children, and how do you address them?
The challenge we have is parents do not recognize that their children are delayed until very, very late. I get children coming in at the age of 6 because they say that everybody says the child speaks like an American, and the parents think it is normal. So the child is 6 and they realize that the child can't fit in school. And it's quite a common problem. So the challenge we are having is parents are not bringing their children in early enough. We wish that parents will request developmental assessments for their children at every health encounter, whether it's vaccination, whether it's going to the OPD for a reason. You just say, please, can you check my child's development? Is my child developing well? And bringing the children in, we can mitigate and change a lot of things. In addition, if parents will make use of the weighing card, page 58 and 59, and check if their children are meeting these milestones, I think that will be very important, and that will really, really help us. And so that's the main challenge we're having. Parents are not identifying that their children have developmental challenges.
So Dr. Brew, can you share some success stories or any lessons you'd have for us and our viewers?
Yes. So every once in a while, you come across a parent who has noticed that their child at 1 year is not making good eye contact and is not saying mama. And then they bring the child. Doctor, my child is not saying dada. And my child is not looking at me when I'm talking to him. And those children do so well, because as soon as you teach the parents to remove the screen and to teach them how to interact with the child, within a short time, this child is now looking at the parents and saying mama. And we have a lot of success stories. And when the parents recognize that the children have challenges and bring them in, especially if they're able to detect the challenges before the age of 3, the children do very well. And so we have a lot of success stories in that age group.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brew. Do you have any call to action for anyone?
Yes, I will request that parents, when they go for vaccination, should not just be interested in only whether the baby has put on adequate weight. We want parents to ask that, is my child developing normally? Please check for me. And let's get interested in knowing whether our child who is 1 year is saying dada. Dada is more important. If your child can say dada at 1 year, you know that your child is at least communicating and continues to say dada and mama and other words. And let's stop the children from watching screen. Let's engage them in outdoor activities. And let's get all parents, let's talk to other parents in our churches, in our schools, in our preschools, that it's not normal for a Ghanaian child to speak like British or American. It's not normal at all. If a child is speaking like that or speaking like a robot, please bring the child to hospital very quickly so that we can start interventions.
It's not normal for a child to speak like a British or American. Thank you very much, Dr. Brew.
Thank you very much. Yeah.